What is up, my peepholes? This is your guy, Cly, and welcome back to that thrifting series. We'll see how long the little guy stays on the table in this video because he's very frisky right now, and he's been claiming my hand as a toy for the past few minutes. Thanks to that, I've had to do a lot of takes. But today I have for you a dumpster diving video, something I haven't done in a little while. As I mentioned in my previous video, at least I think I did, I recently came across a ridiculous lot of stuff, and I'm only going to show you about half of it today. One of my neighbors decided to throw out their board game and video game collections, and I was lucky enough to stumble across it before the garbage truck came. Today is going to be the video game portion, and I'm going to be doing this a little rapid fire. I'm going to break it down by console and console generation. Without further ado, let's jump straight in with the original PlayStation. Only have 2 games for that. Not really that excited about the first one. Tiger Woods Golf, or the PGA Tour Golf. Oh, and a lot of the games in this lot were bought used, so a lot of them are going to have price stickers. The discs are all in the cases and in great shape. Everything works. I love it. But yeah, Tiger Woods PGA Tour. I honestly don't see myself playing that one. But one that was kind of good to find. I say kind of good because I technically already own it. Final Fantasy VIII. This is the Greatest Hits edition. I actually own the black box. Actually, let's see if this is a repro label. No? Nope, it's all good. Just checking. It's been a while since I've had one of the 3-disc cases in my hand. I'm a little bit of a derp, but yeah, I have a copy of this, so we'll see what I end up doing with this. I'm keeping my black box, though. That's mine. Well, that's the lot of the original PlayStation. Let's jump into the PlayStation 2. Alright, time for one of the larger stacks. This is the PlayStation 2 lot. First off, we have the EverQuest Online Adventures 30-day free trial disc. I honestly am not that excited to have this. Never did check to see if the servers are still online. Next up, we have Final Fantasy X, but here's the best part. I also have Final Fantasy X. Also still in the case, and just to prove to you that I didn't do a fancy cut, here's both copies. So yeah, I have a spare copy with no actual case of Final Fantasy X. It's odd. Next up, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and without the original box, we have Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Fortunately, there's not that many that don't even have a label on them. Next up, Metal Gear Solid 2. Sadly, it is the Greatest Hits edition, and like many of the cases, the case has seen better days. We also have Metal Gear Solid 3, not the Greatest Hits edition. Yay. Fatal Frame 2 with a little bit of sticky stuff on the case. I really need to clean these. They were found in a bag, so it's not dumpster goo, it's just age goo, I guess. We have Silent Hill 3. Really glad I have this. I'm kind of embarrassed by the fact that I've always been a bit of a Silent Hill fan, which made the canceling of Silent Hills a very sad day. But I only ever owned 1 and 4. And 4 for the PC, 1 for the PS1, and yeah, never really went out of my way to buy them, but then again, I didn't have that much money during the time that I was really into them, and the thrift stores in my hometown were horrible, so I couldn't really get games there. Hope that thump didn't come through on the mic. Hopefully my shock mount worked. Oops. Speaking of Silent Hill 4, let's finally have it for the PlayStation 2. And it's not really showing up, at least in my viewfinder. There we go. Really need to get a white balance card. $30 is what they paid for this used, and they paid the same for can't speak. Silent Hill 3. Sorry, got distracted by a cat scratching my chair. He's circling. That is the PlayStation 2 stack. Let's jump on to the original Xbox. Not Xbox One, because that naming convention was great, but the original Xbox. Alright, let's start off the Xbox games with a lot of people's personal favorite, Halo Combat Evolved, and to go with that, actually, I happen to have found Halo 2, the Limited Collector's Edition. I really like the metal box. Next up are a couple of games from a series that is beloved on PC, but from a lot of people's opinions that I got when posting the photo gallery of this on Reddit, not so much people's favorite games when it comes to playing on console, and as someone who owned the original in the series, I can see why. I've got Myst 3 Exile and Myst 4 Revelation. I actually owned the original Myst on the Panasonic 3DO back in the day, and actually I found another copy of it dumpster diving, which I'll show you in a future video with a huge stack of PC games that I found as well. Now, here's one that once again doesn't have the original box. It is Silent Hill 2 Relentless Dreams. And while it doesn't have the manual or anything, it does actually have the disc. The disc is in great shape, just like a lot of these. I do wish I had the original box, though. And once again, I am glad I now own a copy of Silent Hill 2, because I was a bad Silent Hill fan and never really bought anything other than the original game and 4, like I mentioned in the last segment. And the last of the Xbox games that I found is Doom 3, the Limited Collector's Edition, once again in a very nice metal box, though it doesn't have the slip sleeve. You know, let's go into GameCube. I think GameCube would make a really good next portion. You know, I realized I forgot to mention that each of these consoles that I've shown you so far, while I didn't find in this dumpster dive, I actually have found in the past while dumpster diving. You should go back and watch my best of... Oh, was it best of video games? Yes. I believe it is called the best of video games. I will link it down below. Nearly the entire video is just me talking about dumpster-dived video game consoles. It's one of my older ones, so bear with it. I didn't have the good mic and good camera, but I think it still works. Now, to start off the GameCube games, let's go with another Metal Gear Solid. This time, I've got the Twin Snakes. And, yeah, another game without the original box. This time, it is, again, in a GameCube case. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Let's go with some Star Fox Adventures. Really not doing these in any order except kind of trying to group the franchises together. Because, once again, I did not have a GameCube growing up, so I'm only recently into the GameCube game collecting circuit, and I really need to sit down and play these. We've got the re-release of the original Resident Evil, and a lot of people's personal favorite, Resident Evil 4. I'm trying to remember, I think in the past I've found a copy of Resident Evil 4 for PlayStation 2. Can't remember. I might be misremembering my girlfriend's copy for the PlayStation 3, if it was released on that. I really need to go back and look at the collection shelf. Now, here's another one in a jewel case, not in the original case or even in a GameCube case from GameStop. Almost confused those two. Mario Party 5. And here begins a small pocket of Mario games. So get ready to get out your pitchforks on the neighbor who has now moved and I have no idea where they are. We've got Mario Golf and a lot of people's personal favorites for this console. Super Mario Sunshine. A lot of people go crazy when they find that in thrift stores, and I ended up pulling it out of the garbage. And the one that a lot of people get very incredulous about when I tell them I found this. They threw out Wind Waker for the GameCube. So many people get upset when I tell them that. But don't get upset. Just remember, yes, somebody threw this out, but it has been saved. It is in the collection of someone who is going to love it and appreciate it. Alright, one last little collection. We've got one game and a couple of soundtracks for you. The last game I have is Wii Sports. There was nothing else Wii related. It was just Wii Sports. And sadly, I've never dumpster dived a Wii, but I did thrift one for $10. I also have the Silent Hill Shattered Memories soundtrack, and this one I'm actually really happy to have, the Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D official soundtrack in a very cracked jewel case, but it's actually still in the original shrink. The reason I'm very glad to have that is my fluffy cat loves ocarina music. If I whistle, she kind of enjoys it, but if I pull up a YouTube video of somebody playing Saria's song or any of the other songs from that game, and actually specifically Saria's song is her personal favorite, she'll come running, plop down in my lap, and begin purring like crazy. And apparently it's pretty common for cats to like higher pitched sound. So keep that in mind. But that is all I've got for you today. I will show you the board game portion of this dive in a future video. Though I still have a lot of thrifted stuff. I've got a huge backlog, to be honest. And recently got some really good dumpster dived goods, like a potential editing computer. So maybe I'll talk about that in a future episode. Anyway, enough rambling. Until next time, this is your guy, Cly, signing off.